I gave them a cutting that also had grape leaves on it, so they should enjoy that. Hey guys, here I am in front of my winter hay. I just purchased it. It was a good deal. It was $160 a ton delivered. It's 5 ton. It's very compressed. That's why it looks like a very small stack. But while I'm out here covering it, I wanted to show you how I make every penny stretch. So this was some of the hay that didn't get used. It had been too moist before it was stacked, and so we had to use it first, and we still didn't get to all of it. All of this here that's on the ground, I'm taking it to use as mulch around the base of my younger trees to hold moisture in. These are weeds. It's not perfect pasture, but sheep will take imperfect pasture and make it good pasture. Currently, the sheep are grazing in this corridor. I have not weed whacked this all year, and it really needed a trim. They have been eating the grapes along the side that have become very unruly, and they're just, again, taking down weeds, and sheep are awesome for that. They will eat leaves instead of bark. If I put goats in here, the goats would actually eat the bark off of the grapes and off of the pear, and they'd be trying to climb over the fence to get to more trees. The sheep do a great job. So this is one place where you can really see what the sheep have done. They've eaten about to my ear level on all these trees. It makes it look more manicured. Again, they'll eat the leaves, but they won't hurt the bark. So the tree comes back again the next year. So sheep will eat leaves, but not branches. So we only have an acre and a half of property. I've planted a lot of poplars, a lot of fruit trees. We have willows everywhere, cottonwoods, chokeberries and chokecherries. What I am trimming right now could be considered tree hay. These are poplars, and if I don't trim up to about my height on them, the branches come out laterally and go through fences, and they're a pain to work around, and I can't get in to make sure my drip line works. And so this is tree hay. So as you can see, what I'm taking are these side shoots that would grow into this fence. All of this is useful. And by getting it out, I stay friends with my neighbor, and I don't crush the fence, and I'm saving money on hay. I don't do this with baby trees, obviously, but one of the good reasons to do this is that by opening up the canopy a little bit, some of those smaller trees that I've planted over the years have a chance to get some sunshine, and it kind of holds back the massive trees a little bit. Now, I don't want to cut all of this at once. I want to do it over the course of days, because they won't waste the leaves, but they don't they don't need to be gluttons. This is more than they will eat today. But I kind of want to get that spot cleared out so that I don't forget. I do have a lot of trees back in here that I have a tendency to forget about unless I'm kind of on a roll. The willow is not so big of a deal because they're very easy to cut. But you can see that they're blocking the sunlight for some of these poplars that I want to fill in the windbreak. They could definitely use just a little more sunlight. Some of the trees that I have coming in now here volunteer, even without water, are plums. And these plums have thorns on them. Let's see if I can find you some that have thorns. So here we go. these plums have thorns, very sharp thorns, and so they're good for a hedge. So instead of taking these out, I'm going to let them spread. This I am constantly cutting back because it grows very quickly. Willows are probably the sheep's favorite. I try to cut the hay close to wherever I'm going to feed the animals. So again, these are poplars, and that's enough food for these guys for the day. This poplar has already been cut back, just to make it easy to get around, to make sure that the drip line is working. And this is all the work of the baby soyas. Good job these little soya sheep have done to clean out all the grass. Well, I can't find you. There you are. What are you doing? Are you out here playing with the goats? So little soya sheep are more shy than a regular sheep. These guys are bottle raised, otherwise they would be nutty crazy, because soys are more like a little deer. And you can kind of touch them and kind of play with them, but they're not going to be playful and as attached as a normal little baby sheep would be if you were bottle raising it. Because you can see I can go to try and pet them, but they're not necessarily going to come in and jump all over me and ask for cuddles. But they're perfect for grazing in here. Again, partly because they're so short. So you can see that they've taken a little bit of the foliage off the bottom, but they're not girding any of the branches. They're just eating a little bit of the leaves. Hi! They're just eating a little bit of the leaves at the base of things. And so they're doing what a goose would do. The one difference is a goose, see this was a new little crabapple tree, and they have defoliated it to the point that it's going to die. And so if I have any new seedlings in here that came from seeds dropping, these little babies are going to eat them. So they've come through and eaten just the bottom parts of the trees, the leaves, and they've crushed down the grass. This was much more of a wilderness before we put the little lambs in. The one tree that I do not take hay from is the elderberry. The elderberry is poisonous, and so I do not take from the elderberry, and I also cage off the elderberry. This would not be good enough if my goats were in here or the big sheep, but my little tiny soys are only that tall, and so that was enough to keep them out of the elderberries. So even though I don't have a huge property, the trees that I have are prolific, and they create a lot of feed. And the reason that I'm cutting right now instead of waiting is the leaves are still on the trees right now. If I wait till they start to fall, the wood itself doesn't have any nutritional value for my goats. It's the leaves. So I think it was in Norway, maybe the Swiss Alps, I have a book. I should see if I can find it. I think it's the Norwegian twins. It's a book I have for the kids that's homeschool literature. And they talk about how they would go out in the forest and harvest the leaves and put them in burlap bags to store through the winter, because their ground did not grow good grass and good hay. It grew good trees. And so they would harvest the leaves and let them dry, put them in bags for the winter. But I cannot imagine how much space those leaves would take up, because I don't think they'd compress very easily. I'm sure they would be some food value, but I'm not sure how much food value they would really have in them. Whereas the green stuff is a goat's preferred food, and the sheep like it about as much as grass and other weeds. The sheep love the leaves, but they'll graze as much as they will browse. Whereas goats, they will browse and eat leaves all day long. This is one mama. This is her shade cloth in the morning to keep the sun off of her. I just gave her that little bundle that you saw me cut and she's happy, she will get more bundle from the vegetable garden too. Oh, all right, rabbits have had some, big goats have had some. Now I'm going to take it up to the little lamb and the little goat and see what they think of life with these. It does mean I have cleanup later because I have to clean up the branches. But here, guys. So I gave them a cutting that also had grape leaves on it, so they should enjoy that. They have been in here just keeping weeds down, and so they're going to be less picky about what it is they want to munch on. Just because a little bit of variety goes a long way. When they have more of the weeds taken down, they also get hay. As you can see, there's hay here.